What is going on, my fellow YouTuberians? My name is Scrunt, and today we are back on some MX vs ATV All Out. Now, in this video, we will be discussing my full review of the series mode, or the campaign to MX vs ATV All Out. And I do apologize in advance, because this video was supposed to be out yesterday, but my audio files got all corrupted and messed up, and I couldn't get them back. So I do apologize, but I decided, you know what, I'm not giving up on this video, and I totally remade it today. So hope you guys do enjoy the video, and if you do, make sure you drop a like, and also remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more MX vs ATV content. But without further ado, let's just jump right into it. And the first thing that I really want to talk about in this video, which is probably the biggest thing, the biggest complaint that I do have about series mode, was that there were no incentives. So what you get from completing the races in series mode are just moto credits, which are used to buy everything. You know, they're used for everything in this entire game, which is, you know, that's great, that's fine. In-game currency for the races, awesome. Now you also get the gold bikes at the end, which nobody knew about. I didn't even know about it until Wyndham made a video on it, and now everyone knows, oh, if I, you know, get that far in the series mode, then I do get the golden bikes, four-wheelers, and the UTV if I really want to do that. Now, my problem wasn't with the golden bikes. I think that was a fantastic idea to keep that little thing sort of hidden, and like you would have to play and beat the series mode in order to, you know, find out that you can get these golden bikes. I think that was great. You know, on your part, that was a very good idea. The problem is, leading up to that point, there is nothing keeping me or really anybody else playing the series mode other than the fact that we need moto credits. But you don't want to rely on people playing your campaign, if you want to call it that, just for moto or in-game currency or whatever. So I'm going to be bringing up Unleashed, because their model for incentives was actually pretty much flawless. So what they would do was, even in the single races, not even in the championships, you would get a little bit of in-game currency, but you'd also get a piece of gear or a bike or something like that. And I think that model was a lot better, and I think a lot better received than what we have currently. Like I would much rather get 300 moto credits and a pair of gloves than just get a solid 3,000 moto credits, because now at this point in the game, moto credits really don't have any value to me, because I've already upgraded everything that I want to. I got the golden bikes all upgraded. Like, I don't need moto credits really anymore. And I understand that the gear and the stuff was all unlocked right at the start. I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like if you kept the gear locked behind moto credits, so that if there was that specific piece of gear that you really wanted, you could go for it and you could nab it with some moto credits. But if you had it so that all the gear that is in the game you could unlock if you just played it and played the single player races, did the championships and stuff like that, I think that would have been a lot better, a much better idea than what we have currently, where we're just getting, you know, moto credit after moto credit after moto credit. It makes it so that you don't see the point in playing other than the golden bikes now. Now, if you're like me and you just like playing the game, you just like doing the races, you're a completionist, you like seeing the, you know, the gold next to the series and just being able to say, yes, I've done the series mode, then that probably isn't of no concern to you. And that's really where I'm at. Like, I don't really care, but I'm trying to think objectively here and what would draw more people in to the series mode. And I think just little incentives like that, even if they're a pair of gloves, a pair of goggles, something like that, that would really, you know, pique the interest of the common player more than just moto credits. So that's what I have for the incentive part, but let's move on to the actual progression of series mode. The sad fact of the matter is, there is no progression, other than the fact that you need these different stars in order to unlock you know, the different series. Other than that, there is no progression. You know, I started out on a 450, and I was riding that 450 for about 4 or 5 series before I actually did get kicked off, and had to go on a 250 for the 250 series. I don't think that model of progression is good at all. I mean, it was, even if I didn't have the moto credit pre-order bonus. After 2 series, I could have easily bought a 450 and easily upgraded it fully. I think there needs to be a linear path of progression, so it doesn't feel like a GTA game where you just dropped in and you can do whatever. I know some people do like that, but I feel for this type of game, a linear progression would be better. So you start out on a 125 racing against Joe Schmo, nobody really important, and the further that you progress in the game, the bigger the bike that you get and the more pro riders actually appear in your game, until eventually you're on a 450 and you're racing against nothing but pros. I think that would have been cool. Like, we don't need cutscenes, we don't need, super developed storylines. It's an MX versus ATV game. It's never really had a storyline. But just something small like that to, let us know that we're not that newbie racer anymore. Because what I felt throughout the series mode was that I wasn't progressing. I was just doing the same races over and over and over and over. That's how it felt to me. And I honestly don't think that a campaign should really feel that way. It should feel as though we're, the grunts when we first start out. We have no value whatsoever, but it should also be the game's responsibility to make us feel like we are, progressing and getting better. Even if our skill doesn't change throughout the game, I still feel like the game should make us feel like we are advancing. And that it doesn't happen in series mode. So hopefully maybe next game, we'll have just that tiny bit of story that I think is needed to really make us feel immersed into the game. But let's move on to the next thing that I really want to talk about, which is the AI difficulty. So there are 5 difficulties to AI. I believe it is newbie, beginner, medium, hard, and then all time. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the default difficulty that you get set on is medium. So I played a few series on medium, and it was very easy right off the bat. I don't know if it was from past MX versus ATV experience, but it was very, very easy. I was getting first all the time. There was no competition. Like the enemies, or the opponents I should say, were not even relatively close to me ever in the race, unless I crashed like 5 times in a row, or I severely messed up every single jump section or every single corner or whatever. I don't know. I had to like really try to mess up in order for them to catch up to me on medium. So eventually, after a few series, I was like, you know what? I can't take this anymore. I gotta up the difficulty because I wanted to get better as a player on the game. And I figured the higher the difficulty, they would be, following the exact line that I'm supposed to be following. They're going to be preloading exactly right. They're not going to be falling off. They're not going to be going off the track. Like, I felt like I would be taught from the AI how to play very good and how to do a lot of these tracks and go in a very fast time. So I upped it to hard, and it was the exact same thing as medium. There was no difference really, other than there were about 2 racers that were relatively close. And when I say relatively close, I don't mean that they were right in my tailpipe. I mean, if I crashed maybe twice, they would probably catch up. But then it doesn't even matter if they catched up or caught up, because I would easily be able to just get back into first. There was no threat whatsoever in hard, medium, whatever. So I went balls to the wall and I said, you know what, I'm going to go all time. I upped the difficulty to all time, and I was shocked to see that it was basically no different than hard, but with a few more people, relatively close. So even on all time, while yes, I think on supercross tracks I do struggle a little bit, and I do have to compete and try to win, because they're right there. I think on supercross they're right there. All time is fairly difficult, but on nationals, waypoints, even open cross or whatever, still no threat. Still absolutely no threat. And it's sad, because even I think supercross is the one exception for the difficulties, because on supercross, even if you were on a lower difficulty, if you crash, like, because the tracks are so compact and they're so short, our opponents are just right there all the time. And so even if you were on a lower difficulty, like, they would still be able to pass you. So it really didn't matter that you were on all time or hard. You were always going to be passed if you actually ended up crashing. So I was really looking at it from like a national sort of standpoint, or an open cross or whatever. And I still had no difficulty whatsoever getting in first and finishing the series in first. And I think that really needs a change. You know, there really needs to be a rework of the difficulty of AI, because right now it's really pathetic. It really is. Unless you purposely crash, or you really, and I mean really mess up something, then you're gonna have no trouble coming in first. So the last thing that is on this list that we're gonna touch on pretty quickly are the tracks. There were times when I was doing the series mode where I felt like I was racing on the same track about 3 times in a row. I think it was Red Feather Lakes or something like that, where I did 3 nationals in a row, and I shit you not, I swear to God, I thought I was doing the same race over and over again. They were different maps, but it was the same exact map with just like a different corner here and there. So the problem that I'm seeing is that there are probably 5 unique maps to each like little thing, except for Open Cross. Open Cross is like an exception. But National and Supercross, there are like 5 unique tracks, and then all the others are kind of branched off of that track. I don't personally like that. I don't think that is very good, but it's also very early into the game as well. So, you know, it's something that we're going to have to see, I guess, if they make any, you know, new tracks in the future. But the tracks right now are very similar and very bland, in my opinion. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. I really hope that you did enjoy my little review on MX vs ATV All Out Series Mode. And if you did, make sure you drop a like, and also remember to subscribe for more MX vs ATV videos. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.